Today, I'm making homemade soft salted caramels. These are one of my favorite things to make as a gift because they feel super luxurious and special, but they're actually super affordable to make and pretty easy once you get the hang of it. Now, this recipe comes together with super simple ingredients, but the one tool you absolutely need to get it right is a candy thermometer. Mine is actually a candy thermometer and deep fry thermometer, so if you already have one of those, go double check and see if you can use it for this recipe. If not, they're super affordable and you'll probably end up using it for other projects anyways, so it's definitely worth investing in. And that's because getting the temperatures for this recipe just right are super important in order for its success. Basically, if you undercook the caramel, it won't set and you'll be left with a big gloopy mess, and if you overcook it, you could end up burning your sugar, which does not taste good, or it could just be too hard and brittle for you to really enjoy. And I speak from experience when I tell you that it's both possible to burn your caramel and not cook it long enough for it to set. So definitely learn from my mistakes and invest in one of these guys because it'll make a world of a difference. The other essential component for getting this recipe right is corn syrup. That's because the corn syrup prevents the sugar crystals from forming in the caramel, so it gives you that super smooth, creamy texture that we're looking for. If you try to sub in honey or maple syrup, the caramel will end up grainy, so I definitely don't recommend doing that. I especially love this recipe because it's naturally gluten-free, so they're a great thing to gift for that gluten-free friend in your life or to just add to your cookie box so that you have a gluten-free option. To get started, we'll measure out half a cup of heavy cream and 8 tablespoons of salted butter cut into big chunks like this. Make sure to use a microwave-safe measuring cup or bowl because we're going to pop this into the microwave for 1.5 minutes just to melt everything together. Next, in a small, heavy-bottomed pot, we're going to combine a 1/4 cup of light corn syrup, 3 tablespoons of water, and 1 cup of granulated sugar. It's really important to use a heavy-bottomed pot when you're making caramel because that helps for the heat to distribute evenly, and that basically means that certain parts of your caramel won't burn as it's cooking. And for our last bit of prep, we're going to generously coat a loaf-sized pan with cooking spray. Then line the pan with parchment paper and spray it with more cooking spray. I know it might seem like we're using a lot of cooking spray here, but we really don't want that caramel to get stuck to the parchment paper or to the pan because it'll be super hard to remove. So that's why it's best to be extra generous. And now that all of our prep is done, we can start cooking our caramel. So we'll place that pot with the sugar, water, and corn syrup over high heat. Once the mixture starts to bubble, put a lid on top just for a minute. This way, if there's any sugar stuck to the walls of the pot, it'll all melt down back into the mixture so it won't end up burning. And now it's time to pop in our candy thermometer. We're waiting for the mixture to come to 320 degrees Fahrenheit and also for it to turn this beautiful, deep amber caramel color. It's really important that you keep a super close eye on this mixture because if the sugar starts to burn, it'll totally mess up the whole recipe and you'll have to start over. So once your mixture has reached 320 degrees and has that beautiful amber color to it, turn off the heat and start adding in your melted heavy cream and butter. Add it in gradually in small increments and be super careful as you do this because the caramel mixture is extremely hot. I like to wear long sleeves and an oven mitt while I do this just so that super hot caramel doesn't splash onto my hands or my arms. Once the cream and butter is incorporated, it's time to turn the heat back on and add the thermometer back in. Keep cooking the mixture until it reaches 240 degrees. If you don't reach that exact temperature, your caramel will end up being super gooey, it won't set, and you won't be able to cut it into squares. And now that our caramel has reached 240 degrees, we will pour it into our prepared loaf pan. Once again, be super careful because it is really hot, as you can see from the way it bubbles here. And don't be concerned if your caramel has a bunch of bubbles on top like this. As it cools, they'll all pop and you'll still have a super smooth caramel in the end. After the caramel has cooled for about 30 minutes, it'll look nice and shiny and glossy on top, and you can go ahead and sprinkle it with flaky sea salt. It's important to let the caramel cool before you try to sprinkle the salt on top because otherwise it'll just melt right into it. Let the caramel cool on the counter for about 3 more hours, and then I like to pop it into the fridge for just 20 minutes because I find it easier to cut when it's slightly chilled. And before cutting my caramel into rectangles, I like to just trim the edges off so I get super nice uniform shapes, but you totally don't have to do this. If you want to be really precise, you can use a ruler to cut these to make sure they're all the exact same size, but I just eyeball it and that always works for me. And as you can see, I cut my caramels pretty generously. These are all about 2 bites each, but you could definitely cut them smaller and make them 1 bite each. And at this stage, my absolute favorite thing to do is to pull apart that caramel and see that beautiful stretch. This is exactly the gooey consistency that I like in a caramel, but if you want them slightly more firm, you can cook it up to 245 degrees before pouring it into the loaf pan. To wrap up my caramels, I like to use these pre-cut cellophane squares. You can find them online and they are super affordable. I just love the way the caramels look wrapped up like this, but you can also use wax paper or parchment paper and that looks super charming too. To wrap up the caramel, I place it in the center of my wrapper and try to roll it up really nice and tight. All you have to do is twist the edges a few times on either side and you end up with the prettiest wrapped caramel. And wrapping them up like this means they stay fresh in the fridge for up to a couple weeks or in the freezer for up to a couple months, which is perfect if you want to make them in advance.
Okay, time to taste test. Oh my god. So gooey. So good.